In the world of podcasting and media shows is now Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. There is no bigger fan of Gavin Newsom than Bill Maher. He loves the guy. Bill, snap out of it. And he had Gavin Newsom on his show on Friday night. Couple of sound bites making the rounds, including this one on the trans issue, SOT 19.
A lot of people lately talking about this 80-20 issue. And I think you are on the other side of this now, the side with the 80. 80 being 80% of the people in this country. Again, this is the issue of should biologically born men be able to compete in women's sports?
That's tough.
And, I saw the polling here in California. They think you're a traitor for saying this.
Yeah.
When those kind of people call you a traitor, there's a word for that, electable. If the Democrats can't get with 80, how are they going to do something when it's a 51-49?
No, I get it. And the other side weaponizes these issues. They dehumanize, they attack, they demean, and they've weaponized this issue extraordinarily well. That said, on the fundamental question, is it fair? And I can give you example after example. Just in my home state, there was someone that won a triple jump by 8 feet.
Right.
It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out.
You see, the right has weaponized. One might even say they pounced, Emily, on this issue.
I mean, yeah, of course. It was the right who was just so excited to talk about bathrooms and locker rooms. They just couldn't resist it, couldn't wait. It wasn't the Obama administration that had a Dear Colleague letter that wasn't even going through the proper legislative process and suddenly transformed how every school around the country had to use their bathrooms and locker rooms and do sports. No. It was absolutely the right who just couldn't wait to make an issue out of transgender kids. I mean, this is why Gavin Newsom, I think, is having a hard time on his rehabilitation tour as he's launched his podcast. And it's because he's it's impossible for him to run from his actual record because he can't fully disavow it. He can't fully get away from it. It's like how he said, nobody in our office ever used Latinx. And then a million clips were produced of Gavin Newsom himself, let alone his office, saying the word Latinx. He can't fully divorce himself from the last 10 years of politics.
So he tried to tell Charlie Kirk, nobody in my office has ever used that term Latinx. And then who was it that put this together? It was the K-File, Andrew Kaczynski, who is one of the best things about CNN. It's a very short list. You got Harry Enton and you got Andrew. I'm sure there's something more. I like Tapper. He's a friend of mine, but I know our audience not huge fans. Here's what he found put together after Newsom was out there claiming, never.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. The Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
That's so fun. Gavin, a simple Google search about yourself will serve you well before you make these sweeping claims. But on the same dishonest, disingenuous front, he tried to act like he's the reasonable one on the trans and the children issue, Eliana, which is a lie. His state is as radical as they come. Only Minnesota under Tim Walz is more radical, which to his credit, because Bill Maher is on the right side on this issue, meaning correct side, he did raise with Gavin Newsom, who then wiggled and wormed, and which was typical in the interview, did not accept any responsibility. Here it is in SOT 18.
But Governor, you were the poster boy for a lot of this stuff. California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. It makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex, is the teacher's job to then report that? By the way, in this law, the teacher can still do that, but they can't be fired if that's it can't be fired if that's not what they do. And that's something I think I just think that was fair.
God bless Bill Maher for trying, Eliana. I genuinely appreciate him with the retort of how can you snitch to one's parents when you're talking about a minor and very serious mental problems.
I agree with all of that. However, I hate to say, I do think that this podcast thing that Newsom is doing is pretty smart if he wants to run for president in 2028.
No, it is smart.
It appears he's laser focused on that. And Maher actually introduced him as, he's running for president too. Because he's like, look, you said he's worse except for Tim Walz. Well, he's doing better than like the vast majority than the Democratic Party, which is switching his position. So he's like, far ahead of all of them. And so the question really is, like, are people going to hold it against him that he's switched all of his positions? I'm not sure if that's really going to matter 4 years from now. There's going to be lots of embarrassing video, but that's sort of the question that's hanging in my mind is how much will that dog him? But he's doing better than the rest of his party mates.
I said this on the Times interview as well. He is smart to start this. And the reason he's smart to start it is because he has no muscles, Emily. None. He's a sinewy little weakling when it comes to arguing any of these issues, especially cultural issues, because he, like all liberals, has never had to do it. So now he's trying to get his training, which is smart on his part, and it would be smart on the part of conservatives to say no, because they declined to help him get in shape before the big bout. We're supposed to be helping Rocky, not Drago.
What happens if this, there's no Republican president and everything just sort of goes back to the way that it was before? Gavin Newsom's not going to be the bulwark for sanity when it comes to kids' sports or bathrooms or locker rooms. Look at what happened to the prisons in California. I mean, it's just been awful under him. So it is smart, but if he could go a step further and be honest about what he got wrong and why he got it wrong, that would be really impressive. But that's the one thing he will not do. He can't admit. That's why he said Latinx, nobody used it in our office. Like, the one thing he can't do is say, here's why I was using the word Latinx. Here's why I thought it was right. Here's why I was supporting these locker room things. Here's why I thought it was right. And here's why I was wrong. He won't do that. So he's not really going to get a lot of the trust back. It's a start.
Because it's not sincere. It's not sincere. If it were sincere, he would totally own it and say, I am genuinely sorry about this. Carol Markowitz has a great piece in the New York Post today writing about, it was posted on Real Clear Politics, talking about how the left seems to be at least grappling with the fact that wokeism was an epic fail and heartily rejected by the American people, has been and continues to be. But they want to quietly move past it without any acknowledgments of what they did. And same on COVID. Same exact thing on COVID. The New York Times, 2 weeks ago with its piece, it really looks like it came from a lab. Why didn't anyone discuss that? Right? Conservatives, fire coming out of everybody's ears. What? It's because your paper, they were calling people racist. What do you mean? We were discussing it. Yeah, we were misled. Right. So it's like they're trying to do this little sleight of hand, not little, large sleight of hand, because they lost. They looked at that swing state polling, which said they lost because of these issues. The trans thing, especially in sports, number one. And now they're quietly trying to just reverse where they stand without any acknowledgement of what they've done. And frankly, of the reality that 30 days ago, they unanimously voted against a very short, clean, simple bill in the U.S. Senate that would have said boys may not participate in girls' sports nationwide, period. They all reject. Not one Democrat said, I will vote for that. And nor did Gavin Newsom come out and say, I would really like it if our California state senators or U.S. senators would vote for this because it's unfair. I was an athlete. I have daughters. Let me tell you why No, he's not leading on this because none of this is sincere. It is all electoral politics. It's smart electoral politics, but it's not sincere. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat's already sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy's already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you, and you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold for no money out of pocket. One recent 5-star review said Birch Gold was, quote, knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the letters MK to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, just text MK to 989898 and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.